Okay, I'm having to make this video because I am outraged at something that I just read. Apparently Synthetic Genomics, a company by someone who I particularly idolise, Mr. J. Craig Venter, has sold off a certain portion of his company, the Agradis portion, I think it's pronounced, to the big agricultural company called Monsanto, which is bad. I mean, in case you don't know what Synthetic Genomics exactly does, they are a company that came around after Craig Venter and a few other people, et al., decided that they were going to turn a gene sequencer on backwards, essentially, and create a synthetic genome. The Synthetic Genome Project was successful and a virus was created. Though benign, it proved the point that a chromosome created by a human being could be injected into a small piece of microbiology and could replicate that synthetic gene. Last time something like this happened, it was with the genetically modified crops, which as a science, if you look into it, is actually a very good science. The only problem is the background it's gotten. Because Monsanto, instead of using it to get a higher yield or to resist frost, they decided, Monsanto being they, decided to use the technology and the science to make a type of crop that would die without using a certain type of chemical that they sold. So basically you buy crops from them from a discount price, and then you have to buy several other chemicals in order to keep those crops alive. Lucrative business, totally unethical. So Monsanto aren't exactly the most reliable people on the earth when it comes to humanitarian, well, anything. So this merger between the companies Agradis is not one that is going to benefit humanity. And I hope Craig Venter knows this, because this can't turn out well. But I don't blame, as much I don't blame Monsanto or Craig Venter. I can't believe that he would go into this not knowing about the history of Agent Orange and the GM crop fiasco. But like I say, I don't blame them. I mostly blame people like Greenpeace and their various denominations, purely out of the fact that it's companies like Greenpeace that propagate such things as frankenfood and frankengenes that cause people to think that these sciences and these types of technologies are intrinsically evil, the kind of dull-minded people that go into science with all the grace of an elephant with 6 toes and 8 legs. It's not at all true that genetic modification will cause cancer or premature death. That is down to the way you use the technology, and though Monsanto have abused it, that does not mean that genetically modified crops are going to do any harm to you. Just in the same way that this new agricultural synthetic genomics is going to do intrinsic harm. It's in the hands of the user, and unfortunately Craig Venter, I don't know if this is the first time he's handed a certain portion of the company to any group of people, but this is certainly not a good choice in terms of publicity. I mean, I can imagine that the money that such a large company is going to put into the business can only be good for the technology. However, I can't imagine that a company such as Monsanto is going to do any kind of good with the kind of technology that such an ability as being able to create genes can yield. This technology was intended to be used as a way of dealing with ecological issues such as global warming and crop issues. However, the original point of GM was supposed to be to create a larger yield so that people could eat it. However, it was abused by Monsanto, and now, because of people like Greenpeace, as I have mentioned before, not an elegant company, not a very informed company, it has been demonized, it being GM. GM has been demonized by Greenpeace because of the actions of Monsanto, and I am now incredibly worried that Greenpeace is going to demonize Synthetic Genomics, a wonderful company with honest intentions, purely because they have the label of Monsanto, and possibly because of something that Monsanto might do in the future. I'm not pleased about this, and I would urge anybody who is watching this video to please disregard any future allegations of Frankengenes and Frankenfoods for that matter. Sometimes activism is bad when it is ill-informed. Science is not evil, it's not good, it purely relates to the people involved, whoever's using it. You can't label things Frankenfood and say genetically modifying food is bad and that organic food is so much better. It's not intrinsically true. It might be true in the case of Monsanto, but it's not true all round. If small companies were to get their hands on GM technology, the world would grow for it. But large companies like Monsanto can never benefit the smaller companies, can never benefit the larger population. Please, please don't make Synthetic Genomics another GM. GM has been set back decades now, and I don't want the same thing to happen to Synthetic Genomics before it's even gotten off of the bat.